Listen-only mode.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Offenberger, and depending upon what part of the country you're in, it's either afternoon or morning time. I want to welcome you and hope you're going to have a great session with me today. I'm going to go through effective email newsletters, and I'm going to share with you things that are really going to help you sell more and improve your customer retention. This is one of the more popular sessions that I do, and I really do advise you, grab your notepad, take some notes, because my goal is to give you things you can use right away that are going to make a bottom line difference. And that's a big, big, big statement, but I'm going to try to hold myself to that as we go through our discussions today. Now, I've had the good fortune of working with email marketing since back in 2004. In fact, I have certifications as an email marketing specialist from both the eMarketing Association as well as the country's largest provider of email marketing software, that being Constant Contact. So I'm a certified specialist by both of those organizations, and most importantly, I've been practicing email marketing with our clients now for 2004. Many of you know I hosted a radio show about online marketing best practices for more than 6 years, and that I'm a keynote speaker, and I speak across the country to groups and associations. In fact, many of us met that way through SEMA that are on this call. I've seen literally thousands and thousands and thousands of email campaigns and data and things along that line. And as we go through our time together today, I'm going to share with you what works and what doesn't. That's my LinkedIn profile. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, please connect up with me. I'd really enjoy doing that. I put out special material that only goes to people that are part of my network on LinkedIn. So I hope we connect there. I'm going to show you today how to get more people to respond to your newsletter content in ways you want them to. And for most of you, that's either selling or staying with you longer. And I'm going to give you some concrete tips, things that really work. Next, I'm going to show you how to develop newsletter content that people care about, that they really want to read. I'm going to give you some scheduling and formatting tips, and I'm going to give you some tangible things you can do to increase your subscriber base. Now, if you're here wanting a lot of stats or anything along that line, I'm not going to do that for you. I do want to make sure if you have questions, you enter that in the chat window. What I want to start, though, is this, is the way your audiences are consuming email is dramatically changing. As you see here on the left of the screen, for many years, people consumed email via desktops or laptops. And now that's really changing. Mobile is king, iPads and smartphones, and you're going to see that happen more and more and more in the world. I'm seeing studies now that's estimating as high as 4 out of 10 emails are read on smartphone devices. Man, I think depending on what customer segments that you deal with, it may even be higher. And if you are on this discussion today and you disagree with the fact that email is going to be read more and more on mobile devices, then send me a message offline and I'll be happy to discuss it with you. All the trends and all behaviors that we're seeing are that people are going more and more towards mobile devices, and that has some tremendous ramifications that you as email marketers need to be aware of, because email marketing can be fabulous for you. Now, most of you use email marketing software, and if you do, most good software providers have the ability to create mobile marketing messages. I'll also share with you, you can go to Google and Google search, email formatting tips for mobile, and you'll get a lot if you're doing that on your own. In fact, if you're doing that on your own and you're on this call, you probably have the sophistication levels that you need in order to make things happen. But what I want to share with you is this. If you're using an email software provider like a Constant Contact or an Aweber or MailChimp or any of those that are amongst the more popular, here are some guidelines and some tips. Limit your use of images. People that are on mobile phones, images load slower depending upon what type of connection they have and where they're at. Next, use font sizes that are 17 to 22 point. That makes it easier for people to see in mobile environments, especially in different lighting conditions. Bigger button styles, especially for men. We're all thumbs, so your button styles to get to links, your navigation buttons, your call to action, all of those, make them bigger and bold so that they're easy to be used by a push button feature. And we recommend in mobile that it's really important to use the fashion style of underlining your links so that they jump out in text that you read. Get your most important stuff first, which is always, always, always a good tip. And another formatting tip I'm going to share with you is that a lot of people say that you should format your emails no more than 75 or 65 characters in width. And that would even be the standard emails that you send day to day for your normal business in your normal way of conducting business. So these are tips that are designed to help you format for mobile. Again, there's lots of information, and I know that many of you are on this call. You use an email software program. They have the capabilities to help you with mobile formatting, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. What I'm really wanting to spend time on is what you can do to put in these newsletters to get people to pay attention to you, because there's lots of problems and a lot of garbage that I see out there, and personally I'd just be happy to get some of it cleaned up a little bit. How do you find out what formats and what times you should send your email? And we tell you very much you need to measure and test. Okay? Your email software, you can send text-only emails. You can send emails that have images in them as well as text or any combination. You can experiment with times, content, what you put in your subject lines. You see on the screen I've used the term that analytics is your friend. And for those of you that are a regular participant in our webinars, and I see many of you on the call, I'm glad you're taking time out of your day to be with us. You know I believe in testing. Don't let your gut instincts tell you these things. You've got analytics for a reason. For many email software providers, it's included in their services to you. The Google Analytics is a software program that's free for websites, so you can see if you link to your blogs or your websites or wherever you put content for your emails, you're going to be able to measure everything. And here's the point behind all of it. I know all of you, or many of you on this call, are racing fans. Well, can you imagine building a car and putting it on a track and never timing it, and never making any adjustments or changes to get it to go faster? You got to experiment a little bit. You need to look, you need to measure, you need to record your data, and you need to look at it. And if you're not doing that, if you're internally not doing it, if you have a marketing department, I've got car dealerships that are on this call that might have larger resources available to your group. But if you're not measuring and testing as part of your email programs to find out what formats work best for you, what times that work best for you, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Incorporate it. Test, measure, track. Those are going to be your best friends in determining when's best to send emails, what formats, etc., etc. Let's go to another point that I want to bring out for you. And that's, how do you develop great content? What is this thing called great content? What does it really mean? And I'm going to walk through some really specific examples, and I want to get this home to everyone. So you guys need to hold me accountable that I do a great job explaining some concepts to you, because if we get this right, it'll make a huge difference in your email newsletter results. Everything stems from things that people want to read. And so one of the things that you need to keep in mind about producing great newsletters that people want to do things with, that are going to sell things for you and are going to retain customers, is first and foremost, why should somebody read your newsletter? Why should they give a damn? Okay, and here's a reality that we all need to face. We have problems in how we market. Everybody won. There's a huge problem. To our audience, we all tend to look the same. And I'm not here to pick on Peoria Nissan. And in just a minute, I'm going to share with you Midway Nissan. They just happen to be two Nissan dealers that are in where I live in the Phoenix metropolitan area. These are their newsletters from September 2012, and I'm intentionally leaving them on the screen so they kind of burn into your brain a little bit. What I'm going to show you is two newsletters. Here's the Peoria Nissan newsletter, and let's take a quick peek at the Midway Nissan newsletter, both September 2012. Let's go back and forth. Oop. Back and forth. What's the difference? See, here's the reality, and here's how this kind of stuff happens, especially at dealership levels. What happens is this, is dealership ownership groups They come to a service manager, or they come to a sales manager, or they come to some young kid that they've hired that knows programming but doesn't know a thing about how to sell or a thing about marketing. They say, get me a newsletter. Well, what happens is you've got 4 or 5 big companies that some of them even have manufacturer support that are producing newsletters and producing newsletter content. And they're all templates, and the content's the same. And they'll give these dealerships a pool of newsletter content items they can pick and choose from, and that's what these newsletters do. And here's what happens. You know, in my market in Phoenix, I think there are probably 7 or 8 Nissan dealers. They're all using the same templates. They're all using the same content, and guess what? They're all trying to market to the same audiences. Everybody looks the same. Dealerships are terrible with this crap. They buy it from the manufacturer, from who the manufacturer endorses, or some company comes in and says, we're doing templates for 1,200 dealerships across the country. They buy a special package. They run into the boss and say, we have a newsletter, and the result is crap like you've seen here on your screen. Everything looks the same. See that? That's a big, big, big problem. That's one thing you want to do to clean up your newsletters, is to give yourself a unique look that relates to your business. Now let's hang on. I'm going to give you some other tips that are going to be really good. You know, here's another big, big, big problem that newsletters have, not only in our industry but in most, and that is that everything somebody puts in it is all about them and their company and their products. It's not really a newsletter. What it is a brag sheet and an ad. Let me repeat that. It's not a newsletter. It's just a brag sheet and an ad. It's them screaming, hey, I'm a big deal, and hey, I only care about talking to you when I want something from you, that being a sale. And those are nasty things to get yourself into. Here you can always see newsletters that are having problems. And again, I'm going to pick on you guys in the car dealership world. Man, the crap that you guys are putting out is terrible. You guys are sending out ads. It's all about your dealerships. It's all about your company. It's all about your products. It's too buy now oriented. And excuse me, and every now and then it's a lot of look what we did. We won this award from our zone manager. We're running this sale that we've been bombarding you with on TV and advertising, and now we're going to do your email inbox that way. Oh, you just bought a car from us a month ago, but here's a brand new one we're going to promote to you. I mean, you know, it's like the graphic says, none of your customers are thinking about you. They could care less about that. And no offense, I don't mean to be cruel, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but that's really the reality. They're thinking about themselves just like you are. So this ego-driven content is absolutely pathetic. So not only do we have everybody sending us newsletters that look exactly alike, but then within them, we have all this content, this stuff that's really ads, and it's all about me, 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 me. Well, gang, that's not really the way you want to do it. You know, what you want to do is this. You know, when you go home at night from work, and when you're getting up in the morning and you're getting ready, you know these little internal conversations that you have with yourself? We all do it. So if you thought you were crazy or had voices inside of your head, well, I'm here to tell you you're not. And oh yeah, real funny, I appreciate the email comment I just got from John. But the reality is that, you know, we all have these internal conversations, and that's what we care about. It's just like right now, you guys are all on a call wanting to learn about email and what you can do to be more effective. And if I gear my conversations to you that way, and I still start to help you with that journey, well, that might help my business. But if all I do is get on here and I give you an ad and I tell you exactly how I can do this email for you and that email for you, and all I do is add and promote, well, then I'm going to lose you. And your customers are that way. So when you're doing these newsletters, your customers have these internal conversations. They want to know how to squeeze another mile per gallon out of their gas. You know, I mean, gas is up to $4 a gallon where I'm at. It's going up. They want to know how to cut maintenance costs. They want to know what accessories really are worthwhile and aren't worthwhile. They want to know, should they install a rear view camera? They have questions like that. They don't want to know what award you just won from your zone manager when you were boozing it up in Las Vegas. And I'm sorry, they don't. So they have these internal conversations, and they focus around what they need and what they want. Okay? They have problems or situations. You know, a lot of successful people, they don't really view themselves as having problems. They just have situations that need to be dealt with. You know, it's not so much that I can't afford to fill up my tank, but by golly, if I can put in $70 instead of 73, I'd like to do that. I have a situation. Does that make sense? So when you help them examine options and examine alternatives, and you present content, you present this information in compelling ways, man, then you start to get their attention. Okay? Makes a big, big, big difference. What kind of content do people care about? This is a graphic. And yes, we are recording this session, and yes, we are going to make it available free on our blog tomorrow at aftermarketerclub.com/blog. You can find it there. This is the kind of things that your audience really wants to know about. I think all of you can read it clearly. I'm not going to read it all to you here. But what I want you to understand, when you talk about things from your customer's perspective, they're much more likely to pay attention to you. If you help them solve their situations, their problems, their needs, their wants, quit talking about yourself, your company, and your products, you're going to be much better off. A little bit earlier on one of the slides I showed, I explained what I call Brian's 90-10 rule. I believe 90% of all dialogue that you use in a newsletter needs to be totally around the customer's life and issues and things along that line, and 10% around what you're doing. Your sales, your products, your employees, your awards. 90-10. Again, think about people that you have personal relationships with. I want you to stop and think about a friend. And you see that friend once a month, every first Tuesday of the month, you stop by a bar and you have a couple of nightcaps on the way home. And you walk in and you see that guy, and all that guy does 5 months in a row, every time you see him, is tell you about his problems, tell you about his kids, tell you about how the world's screwing him over, and telling you about how great he is. How inclined are you going to be to go back in there on month 6? And yet that's what a lot of companies do with their newsletters over and over and over again. Now, what do we do? How do we create compelling content? How do we know what kind of conversations are going on inside the minds of our audiences? Well, one easy way is ask. Kind of a simple concept, but it goes all the way back to Socrates. It was called the ask principle. And the concept behind it is that your audience will tell you everything you need to share with them if you simply ask them. You might ask them, if you had a chance to ask a tire expert just one question about properly maintaining your tires, what would the one question be? If you had a chance to ask an auto expert one question about improving your fuel mileage, what would the one question be? What kinds of content would you like to see me put in our newsletters? All those kinds of things can help you get ideas about what you want to create. There's survey software you can use, like SurveyMonkey or SurveyGizmo or somebody like that you can set up free, or low-cost customer surveys that will give you some feedback that you can use to create compelling content. Now, let me give you another tip. This is one I really love. When I go in and I work with large or small companies or anything along that line, and I'm wanting to know what's on the minds of their customers, one of the things I do is talk to the people that answer the telephone. I also want to talk to salespeople. Why? Because the people that answer the telephone or the salespeople are the ones that deal with potential clients. And a potential customer in the first minute or two will tell you, will describe to you what kinds of things you can create content around. When they call you up and they say, I need to talk to somebody in your parts department about, they're starting to describe problems or situations or issues or these conversations that they're dealing with in their minds and in their everyday lives. And you want to make sure that you're pulling that kind of info. If you have access to recorded telephone conversations, by golly, Make sure you use them. Ask the people that answer your phone. You will be amazed at what kinds of things you're going to learn. It will help you with content. Generally, in just a few short minutes, in under 15 minutes, asking people to answer the phone or outside sales reps, we'll come up with 15, 20, 30 different topics that are important to our audience. Blogs, forums are beautiful. Facebook are beautiful. How about these things called LinkedIn groups? Now, last month we did a little feature on LinkedIn and what LinkedIn can do for you, but LinkedIn groups are fabulous. You can target your audience. You can target your customers. You can start to ask questions within these LinkedIn groups or to your Facebook followers that, again, will help you get ideas that you can put in your newsletter and address. Because I promise you, you send the newsletter and you get them to read it, you will start to see more of your desired business actions. It's like anything else. Good things happen when people use what you produce. And that's what you want to make sure that, that you're doing and you're taking care of. Kind of simple. Now, many of you might be familiar with Google Alerts. Well, there's also things called aggregators like alltop.com. And what alerts or aggregators allow you to do is to set up either search phrases or topics, one or the other. You can set up search phrases or topics. And anytime anything appears on the internet around that phrase or around that topic, you'll be notified. And it's a really neat way to develop easy sources of content ideas and subject matter that you can use for your audience. And I'm going to give you tips on how to get this, newsletter stuff, make sure it's packaged in ways that your audience likes and are acceptable. But I really encourage you, especially those of you that are selling over $1 million a year, I encourage you to look at hiring a professional writer to help you. And you don't want a newspaper guy or you don't want a technical writer. You want what's called a persuasive copywriter. You want somebody that knows how to write things that people actually want to read. Go to the newsstand and look at headlines like you see on Fortune magazine and Business Week. And, headline writers are great at trying to capture your attention, and that's what you need, people that understand how to package your content in ways that your audience is going to pay attention to it and want to read it. And believe me, professional writers are worth their weight in salt. Okay. Not salt, gold. There we go. All right. Let me give you some tips. How can you get more people reading your newsletters, increasing your subscriber base? I think I'm going to give you seven of my favorite tips and things for you to keep in mind. First, we're in political season. Again, if you've been around and some of the things we do, one of my favorite terms is what's called an ethical bribe. And an ethical bribe is information of value to your audience that you offer them in exchange for their email address. This will help expand the number of people that are on your newsletter lists. What are some examples of ethical bribes? Well, it depends on your business upon which might be best suited for you, but you can run reports. You might run product comparisons. I'm not sure if Tom Blackman from Toyota Parts Center is on the call, but Tom and his team did a great thing about brake comparisons for Toyota products and oil filter studies and a lot of neat different things that he's doing that the audience likes. Kevin at Jeepers Creepers is doing some things for product comparison stuff that's really, really cool. And so you can do these reports or case studies. You can offer free stuff or coupons, something in exchange, value in exchange for their email address. And we refer to it as an ethical bribe. It's an old term from the Chicago political days. I grew up in downstate Illinois. It's politics season, so I thought I'd fire that shot while we're here. Now, here's another thing that a lot of people miss on their websites, and that is they have all their email sign-up forms that look exactly the same and say exactly the same thing, and I think that's a mistake. I think that you should use in your marketing different style sign-up forms, at least until you've tested them enough to find out what works best. And you're seeing some variations on the screen right now of multiple sign-up forms, but we see lots of success in increasing email sign-ups through these forms. We see some, I don't know, Social Media Examiner is arguably the largest site for social media training in the world. And when we had their founder on our radio show, he's got a mailing list, I think, of 180-some thousand people. And 77% of that mailing list came through a pop-up. So the first time you come to the website, and the only time you ever see this pop-up is the first time and only your first visit. Any repeat visits, you aren't going to see it. But when you come to it, you're given a pop-up, and they invite you to sign up for their free newsletter. They give you an ethical bribe to do so. And he's got about 180,000 some people and list growing, and 77% of them are coming through that pop-up. Multiple sign-up forms, great way to do it. Not all email software providers will have this feature. Not all, but most do. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. Thanks for the questions. I am getting so many questions coming in. I hope you bear with me. I am trying to answer them as I go along. I'm going to make sure that I've allocated time to answer your questions. Wow, phenomenal. I don't know how many a minute we're getting, but thank you for your interest. Next, you want to get more people to sign up. Well, your sign-up points, by your sign-up forms and all that, offer them a sample of what your newsletter looks like. I took a generic sample here, but what we'll commonly do in our email sign-up forms that we do for clients is we'll offer see a sample, so that when you're there and you're considering whether you want the newsletter or not, you get the ability to click on a link. Up will pop our most recent newsletter. That will give you, the visitor, a feel as to whether this newsletter might be pertinent to you or not. Because stop and think, guys. You don't want people signing up for your newsletter that don't really want it. That's just a waste of your time, their time, and might give you some false hope that we don't want to have. All right, so show them a sample. Give them a feel for what they might get through your newsletter. Statistically, this will help improve your sign-up rates. My next tip, I believe the third tip here, is sell the opt-out. You know, again, don't be afraid to let people know at the time they sign up. If it's not for them, all they have to do is push a link, push a button, and they're gone forever. You're not there to annoy them. You're not there to pester them. So in this instance, you kind of want to sell the fact that they can get out of it really quickly. They have very little risk, no harm, no foul, so to speak. So sell the opt-out. The opt-out can help you tremendously in getting more newsletter sign-ups. Now, man, oh man, this is a good insider tip I'm going to give you to help you with your newsletter sign-ups, and that's offer reader reviews. Let people know, either through testimonials or a star rating system or retention. 99% of our newsletter subscribers stay with us more than 1 year or longer. Anything that you can do to start to enhance credibility through your peers of what you're doing will help your newsletter signups. And we like to do things like, you know, right now we've got something going on for a customer that's got about 9,000 reoccurring revenue accounts. 9,000 reoccurring revenue accounts. They've never done a newsletter. They want to do one to increase and improve retention. Lots of specific goals, lots of specific objectives, and what we've done is we've pre-tested this newsletter with some influential business leaders in the community. So when we start to promote the newsletter sign up and really get it kicking off, we're going to have quotations from some influential people that are going to be recommending the newsletter. That'll help you get sign-ups. Blog and LinkedIn. These are neat things you can do to promote your newsletter signups. Here's an example. You see at the very top, if you read a posting on the Aftermarketer Club blog at the very top, you're going to see that free ebook promo there. Well, if you click on it, you go to a page that you see that there's a screenshot right underneath, and you can get that ebook by giving us your first name, your last name, and your email address. That's our ethical bribe, and that's a great example of it. Now you see we're promoting that through a banner on our blog. Another thing we can do is we can go into LinkedIn. Any groups that are relevant to our audience on LinkedIn, we can promote. We can simply say, get a free report on how to get top search engine rankings in your local market. And we can promote it within relevant groups in LinkedIn, and we can put a link to the web page that you see there at the bottom of the slide. Boom, people sign up. Great, great, great way to increase your newsletter list. We do this a lot for a lot of people. create compelling content, promote it through LinkedIn, put a little banner on their blog and maybe on their website where they get lots of visitors, and you'll see lots of neat conversion things that will happen, so you grow that newsletter base. Now let me give you a tip here. This is one I want to articulate real well for you as well. You can leverage others. Let me give you an example. I can write a blog post and post it or give it to some other blog owner and ask them to post it on their blog. If it's good, it's helped them because I've given information of value, and I can put a link to content on my website, give people an opportunity to sign up for my newsletter, sign up for my free report, all sorts of things I can leverage that way. See, here's the one thing in common that you can always bet on, and that is that every business needs good content for its customers. And if you can produce that good content and figure out a way that you can entice people through an ethical bribe to sign up for your newsletter, you are in golden shape. And again, very easy. It's very simple. What we do a lot is we identify other companies that can help our clients or help ourselves. We go to them with an offer of providing good content. That offer has links to the content that's on our website, and all we ask for is their name and their email address in order for them to access it, which is pretty cool. Lots of good tips that you can use there. Now, I'm going to make sure that we've got questions that are answered, because we've gone through, you know, it was kind of neat how when we promoted this webinar, we got so many questions from so many people. And everybody that comes to this has different knowledges. Some of you are starting up your newsletters. Others are at dealerships that are fairly sophisticated in their approaches, or at least the tools that are available to them that are all coming through it. We're going to answer your questions. In fact, my team is accumulating them right now, and while we're doing that, I do want to let you know we can help you with your newsletter. We have people that come to us, and we look at several newsletters and have a detailed questionnaire, and we do a consultation with them. We give them a report as well as a online interactive review. That's $4.99, and we'd be happy to help you. We also have won awards for the content of the newsletters that we produce. We produce them for a whole variety of companies. I have specific in-house teams of writers that are devoted to the automotive industry, that know the industry and know marketing and persuasive copywriting. We're doing it for very large firms and very small. We can write content that you can use in your own newsletters, and packages run around $500 a month. We also do complete turnkey services, and those start at $1,000 a month. If you're interested in talking about outsourcing any or all of your newsletters, or in having a thorough review and a critique to improve your effectiveness, please let me know. Contact me at the email that you see on the screen. Now, I'm going to answer some questions, and I want to make sure that I get them all answered for you. No, I don't have a preference on email providers. Scott, I appreciate you asking that question. No preference on email providers at all. If there are, they are a major provider and they are approved, then go right ahead and use them. They are probably going to be good for your purposes. How can you tell a provider? Well, you can Google search. There is a thing called securesender.org, I believe is the email address, securesender.org. You can go to that website at securesender.org, and as long as you know the IP address of the site or the software company that you're working with, securesender.org, it'll let you know whether they're approved, whether by approved, I mean these people are able to send emails that aren't going to get blocked by IP vendors. So that'll work really, really well. Vicki has a question. Do you recommend putting QR codes on all newsletters? And my answer to that would be, what are you wanting to use them for? It would depend on what the purpose was of the QR code. I will share with you that I'm seeing a lot of statistics that QR codes are being used, but in very, very limited applications. Again, I'm not sure what the purpose would be. As a generalized term, I would suggest that I made sure that I was using all of my newsletter space for other things before I might use a QR code. And again, I'd find out why I might be wanting to use it, because candidly, Vicki, I'm not so sure of many applications that it might fit for most of us that are on the call. Where could I go for more training on email marketing? That's a great question. One, we provide some limited training. However, for somebody that is doing things yourself, we provide training that's enough for people that are supervising the process, very candidly. If you're supervising the process. If you want more detailed information, I would urge you to go to two sources. The eMarketing Association has a very, very good program that you might find very beneficial. And in addition to the eMarketing Association, Constant Contact has what's called an Experts Learning Program. The Constant Contact program, to the best of my knowledge, is free and is still free. And I would encourage you to take a good look at it. The other thing I'll share with you is this. In my opinion, really the art of effective newsletter marketing is knowing what to say to your customers and when. And that comes from a good understanding of how to develop content. That comes from a very, very good understanding of focusing on customers' needs and not your own. You can develop skills like that through generalized marketing training, so the more of that you can get or that you want to expose yourself, absolutely the better. Finally, last and I think probably the single most important success is having good copywriting. You need people that know how to write captivating headlines, that know how to put words together in ways that convey ideas to people, that motivate people to take action. So if you do that kind of thing, you will be well on your way to better success with your newsletters. Now, I always like to give things away, and I'm in a really good mood today, and we've had great turnout on this call. I'm very grateful for all of you. So if you would like us to give you a complete consultation on your email newsletter, it's a $4.99 value. It will be free. Simply send me an email to brian@aftermarketerclub.com. I'm going to give away one at $4.99 value. I'll give away one, and of course, if you would like any help with your newsletters, please feel free. Contact us. Get in touch with us. This is what we do. We help companies just like yours, and our contact information you can find right there on the screen. I think I've got everybody's questions answered. I'm going to do a quick double check and make sure. I want to thank all of you that were part of our call today and part of our time. Tomorrow, we will have on our blog at aftermarketerclub.com/blog, we're going to have the slide set that we went through, as well as a recording of today's session. I hope to hear from all of you. Again, to be entered into our free giveaway, please email me at brian@aftermarketerclub.com. And if you have an interest in talking with us about how we might help you with your newsletter marketing or any aspect of email marketing, please get in touch. I wish you all a great day. Sell a ton. And I look forward to the next time our paths cross again. Bye now.